I have a tendency of butchering Japanese names regardless of how much time I spend trying to figure out how to pronounce it. So, I have come up with a system, which basically means that while you're watching the review, the first time that I mention a name, it will come up on the screen. So for those of you who know a bit about Japanese names and can actually pronounce them, it will come up and you will go, oh, that's what the character's name actually is, rather than the butchered form that I tend to say. You know you're in for something special when a manga basically opens up with a boy tasting a pool of drool that has accumulated on a sleeping girl's desk. You know you're in for something really, really special when the pool of drool so happens to form a psychic bond between that boy and the girl whose saliva it belongs to. You know you're really reading something that's just screwed up when the boy begins to experience withdrawal symptoms just by not having drank in her drool for long enough. Welcome to the strange and messed up world of Mysterious Girlfriend X, and it's just about as creepy as it sounds. Just about. I think it's a little more creepy than it sounds, but you'll have to take my word for that. However, surprisingly, it also manages to be occasionally insightful and poignant about adolescent relationships. It handles it in a rather ham-fisted manner, but it is due to the strength of the main character Urabi that the whole story functions as well as it does. It is through this drool connection that the two characters have that a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship is formed, and the two end up going through the same sorts of trials that any sort of young couple does. The problem is, Urabi really dislikes any sort of physical contact whatsoever. One hug from her lover boy Akira usually sends her into a panty scissors attack mode. Yes, you heard me right. Panty scissors. They're awesome. She's really quite an interesting creation, a bit more of an outcast than is typical for this kind of comic, but also featuring a level of maturity and level-headedness that is greatly appreciated. Though she's the center of much fan service, she never feels like she's really weighed down by it. Mysterious Girlfriend X is just creepy through and through, and the fact that we have such a strong female lead to help bring a deranged human element to the story is very much appreciated. The same cannot be said for the main male lead, however, who comes across as so bland that it is almost insulting to the intelligence. Clearly drawn as a blank shell from which the male readership can pour their identities into, as is too common with many shonen romances, Akira Tsubaki only seems to exist to be the male love interest, and that's about it. It's strange that the majority of the series is told from his perspective, and yet he lacks any sort of real defining personality. It's a major hindrance to the manga and could have been easily remedied. If the mangaka had spent half of the amount of time developing Akira's character as he did Urabi's, it wouldn't have been an issue at all. But unfortunately, he seemed to have been too lazy to give his main male character any sort of personality whatsoever. What makes Mysterious Girlfriend X tick is really its exploration of teenage sensuality, a topic that has been done to death, I know, but rarely with any sort of sensitivity. Though it gets off to a shaky start, and certainly goes a bit overboard with its themes at times, Mysterious Girlfriend X actually does manage to squeeze in some relatively insightful viewpoints. The characters limit their physical contact to a very great degree, but continuously explore each other through fantasy and, well, the transporting power of drool sampling, which, you know, I relate to that greatly. It's certainly a strange one, and it isn't going to be floating everyone's boat, but thanks to the uniqueness of Urabi and the quirky premise, I couldn't help but get at least a little bit sucked into it. 3 out of 5. Guilty pleasure, but a pleasure nonetheless. It's very hard for me not to like a series with a girl with panty scissors. That isn't something you see every day. I just love the panty scissors.